Victor Hicks, who is a phenomenal educator, the founder of Coding with Culture. He does some amazing work all over the place, and gets to consult with us on all kinds of fun projects. And so he's had an opportunity to use MadLearn in a lot of different settings, one-on-one tutoring with kids, camps that are happening during spring break or summer break, facilitating camps live at schools, and in the classroom, working with students in the classroom and doing app development in elective courses, core subject areas. So lots of different things that you've had an experience with. Victor, tell us a little bit about what you've learned, some lessons you've learned, some things that you think work really well with your experiences.
Absolutely. So I was going to say, one of the things I love about MadLearn, we have used it totally all over the place. Coding with Culture, we've had the pleasure to use it specifically to teach computer science. So we've had make sure I'm sharing the right screen so you guys can see the computer science component. So if you do want to teach HTML, I've used that as a way of really allowing kids to see the full gamut of what technology looks like. And I think that's the big check mark for me, the big plus sign that MadLearn gets for me, is because I think we tend to teach kids these very specific skills in computer science or in technology or in STEM without really doing a great job of connecting those to those real world skills. So although, it's, again, as a computer science teacher, I think coding is the greatest skill in the world, but you have kids where that's truly is just not going to be their thing, right? But
And fun fact, y'all, I don't know how to code and I run a tech company.
Right.
So
Like,
let that sink in.
It's a thing. Like, we're not really looking at, it doesn't require kids to be tech experts. But the thing that I love about that is the fact that it allows them to experience these real world tech scenarios, because everybody's not going to be the tech superstar, right? Everybody's not going to be the person on that project team in the real world situations that we're preparing them for. Um, you know, they're not going to necessarily always need that skill set. So I think it's important that we, give them those situations. If you are creative, there's space for you in the tech world to be able to answer those questions. If you are the coder, and again, I love the idea that Mara gave them the checklist, because that gives them, okay, hey, how are you guys? Here's the thing I need to see. Again, I always tell them, as Coach Hicks, I step out of the realm of teacher. I'm the facilitator. I'm not available to sit and walk you through the steps. Here's your team. Figure out, with these tangible steps. And I think that is those connectors that I think a lot of times we miss in STEM, is that the kids create the creativity when you put these tools in front of them is amazing, right? But it gives them the, like, hey, you don't ever have to code in life. Let me give you that project hack. There are so many jobs that you can make this amazing amount of money, have this, amazing, and they need your creativity. Now you need to be able to tech speak. So you need to have an understanding of what that looks like, to speak to the teacher's point that asked about the forensic science. Like, here's the end point, right? We look at user design, what the user wants. Your job is to create this app that speaks to this issue in forensic science. Now that's it. You can, and again, it allows kids, it really differentiates itself, all the buzzwords that you hear. But the thing I think that stands out the most is it does allow kids to get those real world experiences.
So while you're pulling up what you want to share with us, Victor, I do want to address, we had a question earlier about AI, and some of the AI components that we have in MadLearn and that you can have access to. We're going to put a link, I think, to this in the chat, but we have a brand new activity, which is very simple at its face. It's called Coding with AI, and it is introducing students to AI and to using ChatGPT to code with them, and to help them code. So while Victor said a lot of the kids may not be interested in coding and that might not be their thing, we can actually help them do a little bit more with their apps. We can help them get a little bit more creative even by being able to code with AI, and understanding responsible use, right? Just like when Google came out all those years ago, we were all scared and we're like, how do we do it? What do we do? And now we can't imagine life without a Google search engine. That is the same thing with AI. Some of our schools may have it blocked at the moment. That's okay. It's a process. We're going to evolve in how we understand it and how we use it, but it's here to stay. So we do have some great AI activities. We're building out a whole new AI unit. So keep an eye out for that. which will be coming at some point soon. But definitely take a look within, if you do have access to Madeline already, within the curriculum module, make sure you go to the coding extension and take a look at that coding with AI activity. We'd love to have your feedback on that and share that with you. Victor, take it away. Tell us what we're looking at.
All right, absolutely. So we and I kind of wanted to talk to you guys from the kind of middle of the teacher role, because I know sometimes in those spaces you're like, oh, they're mad learn people, they know the folks, they take like they're already. So I definitely wanted to speak. I'm currently working with a charter school, and just to kind of speak to the versatility of mad learn, serving as an engineering teacher, as one of my friends is just gave birth to a beautiful baby girl. So but to say it allows me, even as, and of course, I'm a teacher, so it's not like just being a long-term sub, but it's really allowed me to kind of go in and not allow her to rest, but also feel like kids are getting the standards, right? So we talk about the different things that we have to cover. So our sixth graders, same app, sixth and seventh graders, because our standards here in Georgia in engineering are very heavy on design thinking and the engineering process. So it looks at if you notice the Mad Learn, several teachers have spoken to that. We look at those steps, right? Now, the same app, same unit, same user face. My eighth graders, our standards are based on systems learning. So looking at the same exact process using the same software, they're looking at how the big how for creating their app is how do we communicate this point as a system? So how do the screens interact? How do the buttons, how do all of these interactive pieces of this app? So again, two whole different sets of standards, same thing. So our middle school will end up presenting these apps. We're having a big Shark Tank presentation in March. But again, it allowed me to wrap up a entire unit. And so these kids will have hit these standards, but then as their teacher comes back, she'll be able to transition into whatever she wants to go into for the fourth quarter. So what we're creating, if anybody knows about Coding with Culture, we are very big on HBCU. So I'd love to hear about the career and college readiness. Another tie-in, their big idea is that they are hired as brand designers for this HBCU. So on the front end, as they're doing their apps, they also create a brand. So they look at what entrepreneurship means. And then we also do a lot with the logos, but again, a diverse way of looking at that. We look at the logo for their brand. So yes, you're creating this app about this HBCU, but you are Blank Apps Incorporated. So, and as you present as the Shark Tank, your job is to also, as we're building these apps, so again, looking at the diversity of tech world or tech company, who's in charge of your brand. So you're also presenting this app, but also why should these judges invest in you? So here's the within the user or the platform, the kids actually go through the mind map. So I heard the educator that spoke about the apps on paper. We started out with that, but then we challenged kids to actually go in and translate that into the the digital platform. So again, we talk about that allows kids at that sixth and seventh grade level to see the iterative process. So like now that you've created this big thing, how do we make it make sense in this digital space? For the AI piece, we do a lot with Canva. What we also talked about is this allowed us to talk about STEM careers and the emerging career of being a prompt editor. So I had all of my kids create a lot of their images within some of the prompts. We are a Microsoft and Google school. So Gemini now, if you guys are not aware, Microsoft, which is it makes me feel a little bit better as a teacher because they log in with their school accounts, allows them to do image generation now. So we do a whole little mini unit on how do we learn to generate an image for AI that is efficient? Because again, like it or love it, as educators, as an old school educator makes us a little nervous. It's a skill, and like kids that know how to write or people that know how to write good prompts will be employable. They will be able to exist in this 21st century world we are getting these kids ready for. So that's how we created this app. This was one of our exemplars, but then the kids right now are in the process of learning about the screen. So as I spoke to eighth grade,
Love that.
their big thing now is looking at how these different parts of the system work together. So if I want to present a website, we take the bigger chunk of the user design, and I'll show you one of our kids' portfolios, because our high school kids, and we have a big design thinking platform. Now, the interesting part is that they use the terms that are a little bit different. So one of the things that I had my kids, because again, thinking about the process, is how do we look at Mad Learn steps? Because again, it's really the same, right? The same idea, just different terms. But I we look at that, let me see if I can get
And Victor, before you change from the screen, I just want to highlight what he's got here is a Google Site page.
yes.
And he's highlighting all of his student apps on one page. So that is something that is an idea for you to also think about. Of course, you
Oh,
have
actually, no, no, this is one. So this is so when we do a lot of the sorry, I didn't front load with that part, but when we do a lot of the tests and iteration, this is one student site. So as they're going through the process, they are also creating, these are our steps for their engineering design process. So what
nice.
I have them do is as they go through, I mean, they're pretty much similar. We have a project brief, but what I challenged them was saying, okay, Mad Learn says ideate, define. Let's look at the ways that these are similar. So again, I'm a big person on making sure these kids understand this process, because once they leave me, these are the steps and this is the way that or the brain work that they're going to need to know how to do. And so then they screenshot or do a screenshot of their their work in Mad Learn. But this allows us to share with students. So as we go in and then we kind of go through the test process through each one. We use the Mad Learn rubrics are a godsend. It allows me to give students, because a lot of times we tell students like, hey, work together, like evaluate each other. We don't give them the language. Mad Learn does. So there's a student-facing rubric to allow your students to self-assess or assess in groups. But also a teacher one. So, of course, when Coach Hicks is the big bad wolf, I have a little bit of a little bit of data to support some of my decisions. But I just love it because I think, again, there's so many cool tools out here. But the thing I love about Mad Learn is that it's the world says soft skills. I think they are the absolute most important skills. But it allows kids or us as educators to give kids the language and to give kids the opportunities to practice it. 'Cause collaboration sounds great, but it's a skill. So we have to be intentional about teaching that.
Thank
And then
you
last
so
but not
much,
least,
Victor. And I do want to be respectful of time
I'm
and
sorry, I run my
soft
mouth. I'm
skills.
sorry, friend.
No. You said soft skills, and we talk about how they're vital and transferable skills, right? They are vital. They are things that kids are going to need and use across the board. But I do want to be respectful of time. Victor, one last thing, and then we want to move to our last and awesome presenter.
Okay, no. I was just going to point out the amazing ability to also app smash. So we also do a lot because I believe kids reflecting on their work. The kids actually do our HBCU research on those that prefer to do it orally, record in Flipgrid. So it allows them an opportunity to really analyze their thinking, and a way as a teacher to get feedback from them outside of just written feedback. Okay, I'm done.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Great ideas, right? And lots of different possibilities for how we're integrating this. Alexandra, I'll let you share slides back up. But thank you so much, Victor. And you've had the opportunity to do this in so many different settings. So that's extremely helpful for us to hear. And you talked about Shark Tanks. And one thing that I'll say, I know we have a few of our teachers here from Memphis, Shelby County in Tennessee. We were just there on Saturday. They conducted an amazing one-day app camp. It was called Get Ready, Let's Code 4 because it was the fourth one. But teachers conducted this one-day app camp experience. And at the end, the last hour was what they called lunch and launch. So the students had lunch, but they were also ones who wanted to came up to the front. They pulled their app up on a big screen. They had a mic and they were talking about and sharing what they built in that one-day process. So definitely shine the light on those students, brag on them in every way that you can, because they're making some great things.